the notion of e pluribus unum, out of many one. And so remember, as you play the blues, you're connected to a lot of people, right? And you can connect to them by playing that form that way. All right? So just to reiterate before I start taking questions, the blues, in essence, is a three-part form, or some people even go as far as to say it is an AAB form. The first A being a call, the second A being a reiteration of that call, and then the last part of it, which is the B section, is the response, and we play it that way. All right? And so that being said, I want to open up the floor for questions now because we only have, I guess, another half an hour to go, and I want you all to steer the discussion. So who's going to be the first?
Trombone, and I go to high school.
All right, Gabe, good to see you.
What is your inspiration on this type of music?
My inspiration regarding why do I play it, you mean? Like, why do I play jazz? Why am I inspired to play jazz?
Yes.
Well, jazz specific, I'm inspired to play all types of music. I actually don't have a jazz degree. Yeah, all of my degrees are in classical trumpet performance. What? Yes. And the reason I went that route is because at the time, my trumpet playing wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be. And I could hear really well, but jazz, that's probably one of the most important things you can develop is your ear. And I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so we never said anything. We just sang everything at each other. so I just kind of heard that music from the beginning, and I could kind of hear jazz. So I figured I could learn that sort of by taking a few classes, but the trumpet was difficult for me. So I wanted to get that out of the way. You dig what I mean? Now jazz, the reason I like to play jazz is because of what I just said. Specifically acoustic jazz, and jazz that involves a lot of improvisation. I like playing with people. I like being vulnerable. I like getting to know people's quirks. Even if I don't like them, I still want to know about them. You see what I mean? Like I at least want to know why I'm not feeling this person, so that I can still accept them without trying to change them, but I don't have to deal with them all the time. You know, that's part of the problem. You know, we think that, oh, well, I'm not really vibing with this person, so I have to hate them. No. Like just because you dig somebody doesn't mean you have to invite them, or let me rephrase that. Just because you don't necessarily vibe with somebody, that doesn't make them your enemy, right? Just don't invite them to your house all the time. You dig what I mean? So jazz, I like that. It opens up my experience, all right? I also love communicating in real time. I like the negotiation of it. And I also love the fact that inside of jazz, you can pretty much play any genre that you want. You can kind of just go in and out of, Brazilian music, candomblé. You can go in and out of Afro-Cuban music. You can play waltzes in jazz. You can play rock, which I love, R&B, country, western. It's all inside of jazz. So that's why I love playing the music, and I love meeting new people. Does that answer your question? Cool. Next question. Now tell me who you are and where you're from.
My name is Junwei. I'm from Denton, Texas, and I'm a student here.
What did you say your name was?
Junwei.
Junwei?
Yeah.
Junwei?
Yes.
Okay, Junwei. Thank you. That is a great question. Are you looking into going into education, being a teacher?
Yes.
God bless you, my friend. No, it's a great profession. I don't say that as someone that says, oh my God, being a teacher sucks. No, it's amazing. Being a teacher has told me one thing, it's told me many things, but the first thing is that I'm forever a student and I'm constantly growing. And that part is the most difficult part. I talk about 3 points of knowledge all the time. There's ignorance, and on the opposite side of ignorance, there is enlightenment or wisdom. In the middle, there's this gray area. That's when you're aware of something, but you really don't know it. You know? Let's take something real. Everybody can agree that they like some type of food, right? Like, let's go with Italian food. How many people like Italian food? Oh, yes. You remember the first time you ever had your favorite pasta dish?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that is, right? For me, my favorite pasta dish is carbonara, right? I love that, as you can see. Now, before I had carbonara, I was ignorant to it. I could cook other things, but I was ignorant to it, right? But then I tasted it and I became aware. Like, oh my God, I am aware of carbonara now. This is delicious. Yes, exactly. And I came up with this idea. I love carbonara so much and I love cooking so much that I was going to make some by scratch. I was going to make the pasta by scratch, and I was going to make the sauce, and I was going to do all of that. Well, guess what? I failed miserably. And so then I started to tell myself, I don't need to make this. I can just go to the restaurant and get it. Oh, it's not that good anyway. Carbonara, oh, it's just some fancy Alfredo anyway. Started making excuses. And then in my mind, I said to myself, nah, you really dig this carbonara. You know you want to make it. And you bought these pots. You bought these pots. And you bought this, this fancy pasta making thing. Figure it out, dude. Get over it. And so after several more failed attempts, I started to get halfway decent at it. And then I had some pasta by a relatively known chef. It's pretty killer. His name is Michael Simon. And I had his, and I said, dude, what are you doing? He said, I've made carbonara a lot, man. And at that point in time, I realized that his relationship to cooking is my relationship to playing the trumpet. And then I realized that I'll never truly know how to make carbonara. I'll get better at it, but I'll truly never learn how to make it at the best. You know what I'm saying? And then at that moment, that's when I became enlightened. And I realized that the greatest knowing is realizing that you'll never know. And that you'll constantly just seek. And you'll constantly try to find new ways of making carbonara. Introducing yourselves to new chefs. Going to Italy. Going to Italy. And Italy. Checking out all different styles, right? And going down the rabbit hole of carbonara. That's the most important thing about teaching. Can you keep your students engaged? Can you keep your students constantly seeking? Can you impart on your students the importance of dying daily? What do I mean by dying daily? The greatest learning is in the hardest unlearning. Oh, let me say that again. The greatest learning is in the hardest unlearning. Some stuff that you just knew was true. And then something comes along and challenges what you think you know to be true. Are you willing to accept this other side of information as that? As a variance of something that you need to know? To be able to expand your horizons about the possibility of the universe? Or are you going to stay small? Are you going to stay isolated? Are you going to stay in your own singular thought thinking that, oh, I know this is right? That is what teaching is. That is what learning is. That is what growing is. As someone that is now in my mid-40s and in my mid-20s thought I knew everything, now being 40 some odd years old, I can tell all of you that I only know a fraction of what it means to play this instrument. I only know a fraction of what it means to make carbonara. And I only know a fraction of what it takes to be an expansive human being. To be able to love everyone. To be able to feel everyone. You see what I mean? That is what it is. So what do I suggest for all of you? Keep learning. Keep growing. You can accept something without becoming it. Let me say that again. You can accept something without becoming it. All right? It's like, let's say someone walks in from a part of the earth that was never discovered before. Are you going to say to yourself, well, that person is from some weird place that I never heard about. I don't want to know anything about them. Or are you going to say, whoa, this is new. Come over here. Tell me about your experience and have some carbonara. Nexus, that's a great name. My favorite instrument to play is sort of a toss-up between piano and drums. I love drums. I mean, jazz without drums, I don't know. You can have jazz without drums. But you know, the dance and the beat of the drums, I love that. I love learning harmony. I love harmony, right? So those two instruments are really important to me. I actually love playing, I love drums more than I love trumpet. I only started playing trumpet because it was hard. That's the truth. I wasn't that much of a fan of it. But I was also 10 years old. I like Lucky Charms. But I got into playing the instrument because it was difficult. I was a nerd, you know. Like I tried to make my own cleaner, you know, for my family. I almost blew up the house. I was weird. I like to fix things. I like to do that kind of stuff. So I never knew anything about engineering. I guess I would have become an engineer if I wasn't a trumpet player. But I discovered the trumpet at 10 years old, and I discovered that it was really difficult to play. It's only 3 buttons, but it's hard as hell to negotiate, right? So the challenge is what drew me to it. And so like 30 minutes of practice turned into an hour of practice, which would eventually in high school turn into 4 hours of practice. 4 hours of personal practice. That's outside of ensemble playing. Almost 8 hours a day of playing. Oh my God. How many people think 8 hours a day is a long time to play? Be honest. Yeah, I feel you. But by the time I got to high school, I knew that I wanted to be a musician. And I knew I wanted it to be my full-time job. How many hours a day is a full-time job? Raise your hand. Who? You have to say it loudly. About 8 hours a day is considered full-time, right? So I figured, all right, practice for 4 hours a day, that's part-time. You mean I can get paid full-time for part-time work? Sign me up. And I love it. Anything you want to be great at, you got to spend a long time doing it. There's a great book, I mentioned it last night, it's called Deep Work by Cal Newport, C-A-L Newport. And what he talks about is being really great at one thing. Spending a lot of time at one thing. Then you become a subject matter expert at one thing, which makes you elite at one thing. In today's world, there's a lot of pressure on you to be a lot of things and not really great at any of them. be true, look at social media. You got a lot of people playing instruments by themselves on social media, but you rarely see them with a band. Wonder why that is. You know, there's a lot of people saying that they are great at things, but not demonstrating it. There's no body of work. Everything that I say is backed up by a body of work. Things that I have done. Right? That does not make me better than you. It makes me more accomplished. And that is not an embarrassing thing or an arrogant thing to say. And so, if you want that level of professionalism, that level of career, you have to be able to do deep work. You have to be able to stick to something for a long time. There's also a sort of a movement of people saying, you don't need to go to college, which you don't. You don't need to go to college. But I'll tell you one thing that you do need to do, you need to be able to stick to something for a long period of time. And you need to be able to accomplish something. College and going to a university, that shows the world, if you graduate, shows the world that you can stick to something for 4 years. That degree does not say that you are good at the degree, what the degree says you've gone through. It doesn't say that. It says that you went through a process for 4 years. So that shows the world that you can commit, which makes you more hireable in certain instances. So that's one of the reasons to get a degree. Now, you don't have to get a degree. You could stick to something for 4, 5, 10 years and become really great at it. And that is where your body of work is, or your life's work, some people like to say. The opposite of what I played in the A sections. So in the A sections, I played something that was like, if I played something that was moving, like a line that was moving, then maybe on the B section, I'll hold a note out. If I played something that was slow on the A section, then maybe I'll play something fast on the B's. You see what I'm saying? Something that was opposite. But I also want to keep in mind that each form, each 12 bars, I want to take the listener somewhere. Now, how do you take the listener somewhere? You have to have vocabulary. You have to have something to be able to say. Right? The most frustrated human beings on earth, and I can say this definitively because I had one at one point in time. The most frustrated human beings on earth are 2-year-olds. That's why they call them terrible twos. Why do they suck? Because they can't communicate. They can't say anything. They have a lot of ideas. They know they want to go outside, but they don't know how to say that. They just act like hell on wheels until they get what they want. Right? So they develop vocabulary. They start to listen. Okay, what are my sisters and brothers saying? What is mom and dad saying? What are the neighbors saying? What are they? Okay, they said this in order to get that, and then randomly the 2-year-old goes outside. You're like, oh sure, let's go outside. And they're like, oh, finally, someone understands me. Right? You have to do the same thing with music. You have to develop vocabulary. And by developing vocabulary, you are able to communicate with others on stage, you're able to communicate the form, and you're no longer a frustrated 2-year-old. Right? How many of you are frustrated when you get ready to play a solo because you don't know what the hell to play? Exactly. Right? So, there are a lot of frustrated 2-year-olds. I was one. I'm now 3. You know, but the way that you get away from that frustration is you learn harmony, you learn those things that are on the page sometimes, like with weird symbols, those are chords. You learn those, you sit down on the piano, play the chord, learn the scale, learn the sound, get it inside of you, and then when it happens in real time, you'll be able to play that. And you practice 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 until you get to the point where it's just like speaking, like the way that I'm speaking to you right now, I can do the same thing on the trumpet. You get what I'm saying? So, if I'm playing this blues, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just like speaking to you like, it's just how I talk on the trumpet. And other people that have that level of communication, hopefully we enjoy the conversation that goes on. It's a cool thing to be able to go and play a gig and there's maybe 1,000 people in the room and they're just there to look at, to watch you talk to other people without using words. That's awesome. So that's, I hope that answers your question. Does that kind of answer? Yeah. Next question. Where are my young ladies at? Y'all hiding. You got a question? No? Do it. Now, when I say do it, that comes with everything that it means to do it. That's the other side of it. Right? An idea is only as good as your follow through. Let me say that again. An idea is only as good as your follow through. I have an idea regarding carbonara. I was introduced to carbonara, and that idea was, doggone it, I can make other things. I was really good at making like Creole food and Cajun food and all that stuff. Oh man. Shrimp and grits, I'll make a shrimp and grits that I'll put up against anybody's shrimp and grits. I mean, it is truly ignorant shrimp and grits. But it's not carbonara. So, got the idea. I'm gonna make carbonara, y'all. And I sucked at it. So I kept going. Got me teachers that would accept me. You know, people that would be willing to show me their tricks on carbonara. So, how does that relate? If you're gonna switch an instrument, you have to do whatever it takes to actually do that. You see what I mean? I'm telling you, that middle part is a long part. Ignorance is just ignorance, you don't know. Enlightenment or knowledge is great, but that middle section is a long journey. And most of what you learn during that middle section is a discovery, right? And that discovery oftentimes wars with things that you think you know. The greatest things that you could ever build in your character development, patience. In fact, I think patience and forgiveness are the greatest aspects of love. Right? Forgiveness is hard, we all know that. But patience is also hard. This is not happening fast enough for me. I want this right now. I want to be able to play right now. Forget this trumpet. I can't play it. I've been playing long tones for 6 months. And my sound still sucks. Do you really love playing? See what I mean? This person that I love is getting on my nerves. They're just not doing this the way that I want them to do it. not patient enough to see them grow. You see what I'm saying? So with that, it's a great idea, and what I started by saying, do it, yes. But the caveat is, once you go down that rabbit hole, will you remain? Will you stay? And sometimes it's okay to, I'm saying that with another caveat. It's okay to stop doing something. If it really does, if you go down that path and you realize, that's not really for me, it's cool. But what you don't want to do is start making excuses why you didn't do it. Or that's blah, blah, blah. Just say, all right, I didn't want to do it. That's the honest answer. You did? So, just do it. But if you're going to do it, do it. You did? All right. Next.
I'm Thomas. I got a pass little one, but it's that.
Thomas.
Who would you recommend listening to, or have you had a favorite person you ever played with?
Oh man. Well, those are two different questions. People that I've enjoyed playing with, I enjoyed playing with Winton. I learned a lot from him. I love playing with Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter. I love playing with Marcus Miller. It was fun playing with Glasper whenever we played together, just because he's funny. On the R&B scene, I really love playing with Shaka Khan. It was I think yesterday was her birthday. Either today or yesterday was her birthday. Right? Rufus and Shaka Khan, I know that's like, check them out. Right? I love playing with certain brass groups. Like there's actually a brass group that's in Michigan, Battle Creek Brass Ensemble. I like playing with them because it's like 30 knuckleheads get together with brass instruments try to play. It was fun. But the other side of that question was what?
Who do you recommend?
Who do I recommend you listen to? I would say recommend to listen to the folks that you like. Listen to the people that you like to hear. That's who you should listen to. If there is a specific genre of music that you want to get into, I would ask teachers, or study, or you can research yourself, who are the top 10 folks in this particular genre, right? And then you go research that, listen to their music, and then listen to the people that play with them. Again, go down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean? That's real important. But the key thing is just to listen. Listen a lot and emulate, Does that answer your question? Yeah. I know we're getting towards the end. You're back there looking like. All right, we'll take one more question and then I'll give you a story.
I'm Benny from Southwest High School and I play the jazz violin.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to ask, so since you kept attempting to make carbonara, did you attempt it the same way or did you go different ways about it?
That is a great question. That's a fantastic question. The question is, when I started making carbonara, did I keep playing it the same? I'm playing to see how I switched it. Did I keep making it the same way, or did I try other things? Both. So there was one recipe that I had that I wanted to perfect, because you got to stir it. Like you got to stir carbonara a lot. So that technique is something that I knew that I needed, right? So I'm stirring the carbonara, and I'm learning that I got to do that and keep the egg and the thing from breaking and da. So I stuck with that. Now, when Michael Simon came along, he's like, man, you might want to put some peas in there, or you might want to do this, or you might want to add this to make it a little spicier, or maybe you should use this kind of egg, or maybe you should do this. So the technique and say the foundation, I stuck with that. With all of the other stuff, I would sort of just research different things that I thought were cool, check out other recipes, and then kind of mix and match after a while. But that foundation, I kept the same. Does that answer your question? And I do that with this. Long tones, non-negotiable, playing the trumpet, or any wind instrument for that matter. Long tones, non-negotiable. Scales, non-negotiable. Arpeggios, non-negotiable. Articulation, non-negotiable. Attacks, non-negotiable. You dig what I'm saying? Fundamental pedagogy on your instrument is non-negotiable. People, you dig what I'm saying? You got a buffet. Hey, yo, let's go. You see what I mean? That. Yeah. So I'm going to leave you with this story, right? And it's sort of ties in everything that I've been saying. Why do we practice? Why do we do all these things? It's because something comes to our mind, right? And I'll make this fast. Something comes to our mind and something says, do this thing. It's a good idea. Maybe I want to do multiple instruments. Maybe I want to learn carbonara. Maybe blah, 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 blah. Maybe I want to get really great at something. Comes to your mind. That's a quote by William Blake that says, eternity, I want everybody to repeat it. Eternity is in love with the creations of time. Eternity is in love with the creations of time. Different people call eternity different things. Some people call eternity God. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it Mother Nature. Some people call it science. My view on eternity is it is everything that was, is, and will be. Eternity, everything that was, is, and will be. Eternity is in love with the creations of time. Why would eternity be in love with creations of time? Well, what is a creation of time? A creation of time is something that has a definitive beginning and a definitive ending. This microphone stand is a creation of time. This trumpet is a creation of time. The chair you're sitting on is a creation of time. This room is. You are a creation of time. It is something that has a definitive beginning in time and a definitive ending in time. This was created one day and it will cease to exist in this form one day. We were born one day and we will cease to exist in this form one day. So we are a creation of time. Why would eternity be in love with a creation of time? Eternity has it all. It's everything. It's everything that was, is, and will be. Why is it in love with me? It's in love with me because it speaks to me. It gives me ideas to make all of eternal existence manifest in this time so that other human beings can observe my doing and live and experience my creations in this time. The light bulb was an idea that was implanted in someone, and they went through the process of making that idea real. Can you imagine being in this room without lights right now? Can you imagine being in a world without the light bulb? That is what Edison and Tesla did. I'm sure other people thought about it. You know how many people were going in their house like, damn it, I'm tired of setting my house on fire. I wish that was switch to go fire. But only 2 people believed in it enough to make it happen for all of us. Eternity is in love with the creations of time. You got to remember that. The ideas that come to your mind are coming to you because they want to be born through you. That is your purpose on earth, and we all have purposes on earth. How many of you have heard a song in your head and you say, I'm not going to write that out, or I'm not going to do that? How many of y'all heard a little melody? Yeah. That's at least 50 songs that have never been written. What if one of them was the next happy birthday? You just ruined everybody's birthdays. Now I know we gotta go. The story is this. There's a vampire. The vampire breaks in this guy's house, chases this guy all up and down the steps, finally corners the guy. And the vampire looks and says, all right, I'm about to kill you. And the guy says, time out. Hold on. And the guy thinks to himself, I have no garlic, I have no other stuff. but there's this cross on the wall. So the guy takes the cross and he shines it, shows it to the vampire, right? I know I'm running over. And the vampire startles the guy, right? And then the vampire gets startled because he's like, where do you get this cross? And the guy's like showing the cross at the vampire, and the vampire stops, laughs at the guy, and crushes the cross in his hand. So the vampire starts to move in for the kill again, and the guy says, stop, why didn't this cross kill me? And the vampire said, silly man, you gotta believe in that thing in order for it to work. Eternity is the love of the creations of time. The ideas that come to your mind and the things that you want to do and create and be, they only work if you believe in them. Believe in yourself, believe in that, and you will be someone that changes the world. Thank y'all.
Woo!